Well, you can thank the Lord and our efficient agriculture community in Kentucky and our nation for quality food, which leads me to our next guest, someone that has transformed agriculture and pumped life into our Kentucky government. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome our next speaker, Republican-elected Commissioner of Agriculture, James Comer.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Congressman Whitfield, Senator Humphreys, Representative Imes, my fellow Republicans. What a pleasure it is to be back in Murray for your annual Reagan-Lincoln Day dinner and to see a room packed full of Republicans, optimistic and hopeful and willing to work for a better tomorrow in Kentucky. Thank you for everything that you do for the Republican Party. Thank you for everything you do to create jobs in the private sector. Thank you especially for being here tonight to help us flip the House in 2014, a thing that I am confident that we're going to do, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But before I do, I want to thank everyone that's here, obviously, but I also want to thank the people at my table for purchasing a ticket at my table. You know, when they called our good friend Representative Imes and said they would like to sit at the table with Governor Perry, and they said, and Representative Imes said, I'm sorry, the tickets are all sold for Governor Perry's table. Then they said, well, that's okay, I'll take Senator McConnell's table. And they said, I'm sorry, tickets are gone there. They said, well, we'll take Whitfield's. And they said, I'm sorry, those are gone too. You're going to have to sit with the Agriculture Commissioner. So I apologize for that, but thank you all, and I've enjoyed the conversation. Speaking of Governor Perry, I had a great conversation with Governor Perry prior to this banquet. You know, he and I have a lot of things in common. We have similar backgrounds. As you know, he was a Commissioner of Agriculture in Texas, so he shares my passion for agriculture and obviously my love of politics. So we were talking, and he said that you know, that he had some great experience during his time as Commissioner of Agriculture in Texas, that it was just a huge government agency, and they do a lot of things, and you learn a lot about state government. It really prepared him for the next level. And I thought, you know, they do things right in Texas. They think the right way in Texas. And I appreciate Governor Perry for that and the great work that he's doing in Texas. And I'm sure Governor Beshear is a little uncomfortable when a governor from the most progressive state in the United States that's done more to create private sector jobs over the last decade than the next 10 states combined, anytime that governor's in Texas meeting with a room full of business people. But thank you for being here in Kentucky. Thank you for, again, everything that you do for the party. But more than anything, from my perspective, thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve 2 years as your Commissioner of Agriculture. It's been a pleasure to be the only statewide elected Republican official. We've had the opportunity to go in a government agency and govern the way a Republican should govern. And we're here today to talk about flipping the House. But it's important that we know there are differences between Republicans and Democrats. I think everyone in this room knows that, but when we talk to our friends and neighbors about why they need to vote for a different state representative to make a difference in Frankfort, it's important to note that there are major differences between Republicans and Democrats. And we've tried to set that example at the Department of Agriculture. With respect to transparency, we've made our office 100% transparent, and we did that very quickly, very easily, and with no expense. We simply put on our website, which is kyagr.com, that's Kentucky abbreviated and agriculture abbreviated.com, a list of all of our programs and services that we provide at the department. At the very bottom, there's a transparency link. You can click on that transparency link and you can see where every penny of your tax dollars go in the Department of Agriculture. If you want to know what I spent on travel last month, you can see that. If you want to know how many paper clips we bought last month, you can see that. Depending on how much knowledge you seek or how bored you are, you can find out everything you want to know about the Department of Agriculture with respect to your tax dollars. That's the way Republicans are transparent. Compare that to what the Democrats in Frankfort have tried to do. They always file legislation to require government agencies to be transparent. They want to create divisions of transparency, hire a transparency czar with a deputy transparency czar and a secretary, and rent a big fancy building in Frankfurt from a major Democrat donor and staff it full of government bureaucrats to oversee transparency. That's the way the Democrats look at transparency. If you want transparent government in Frankfurt, elect Republicans to Frankfurt. With respect to efficiency in our office, we've done something that's foreign in Frankfurt, but they do it often in Texas and Tennessee and Florida. We've privatized divisions in our office. And guess what? The private sector can do it much cheaper than the government can. We're very proud of the divisions that we've privatized, and we're going to continue over the next 2 years to try to privatize more. Compare that to the Democrats in Frankfurt. They don't want to privatize anything. Their answer is, well, if your government agency isn't getting the job done, then we need to increase taxes to hire more state employees. You need a bigger budget. That's the Democrat way of doing things compared to the Republican way of doing things. We save so much money that when all the constitutional officers made a presentation to the Legislative Research Commission, we asked for less money. Jack Conway asked for more money. Allison Grimes' office, I don't know what they asked for. They kind of beat around the bush. The auditor's office asked for more money. The treasurer's office asked for more money. But because we've privatized, because we've been transparent, because we've made employees accountable, because we brought in good management, we've saved a lot of money. And that's the Republican way to do things. The Democrats don't understand that. That's why it's so important that we elect 6 more Republicans to the State House to change the state forever. With respect to accountability, we've tried very hard in our office to make our employees accountable. I'll say this, and I say it publicly everywhere I go. The overwhelming majority of the employees that I inherited at the Department of Agriculture are as good as any employees in any government agency anywhere in any state in the United States. But I had some really bad ones. And we've made a lot of changes, and you've probably read about some of the changes in the paper. We've done things like put GPS tracking devices on our fleet. We have a fleet of 181 vehicles. You can't believe how much gas we've saved since we've put those GPSs on those vehicles. It's amazing, thousands of gallons of gas. We also do something in our department. We regulate, when you get gas, you see our sticker on the fuel pump. It says the Department of Agriculture, has my name in very small letters on there. And what that means is that we've checked that gas for quantity testing, that pump. We make sure if you're buying a gallon of gas that you're getting a gallon of gas. When I went in office, the statute said that those pumps had to be checked on an annual basis. To make a very long story short, those pumps weren't being checked on an annual basis at the department. They weren't being checked every 2 years. So I met with the employees and I said, we're going to have to check these pumps every year. That's part of our job and that's what we're going to do. And they said, oh, Commissioner, we can't do that. We've had budget cuts. We've had staff reductions. It just can't be done. You don't know what you're talking about. After lots of fighting, lots of terminations, lots of tough love conversations, this year we checked every fuel pump in the state in 3 months. And we did it with less employees. That's the way Republicans approach accountability. Compare that to what the Democrats have always done in Frankfurt. They would have gone to Representative Imes or Representative Rudy or Representative Heath and said, we're going to have to pass legislation to extend those regs. It needs to be every 2 years because we can't do it. If you're not going to raise taxes, if you're not going to take a stand, then we're going to have to change the regs. Democrats think state government is as efficient as it can possibly be. We know better as Republicans because we come from the private sector. We have to balance our checkbooks every month. We know what it's like to make a payroll. The Democrats don't think like that. And that's why it's so important to flip the House. We can make Kentucky transparent, efficient, accountable. But before we do anything, we have to change the leadership in the State House of Representatives. That's why I'm so thankful that you're here tonight making an investment in the future of Kentucky. When we get 6 more Republicans in the Kentucky House of Representatives, with one session, without spending any money, with the stroke of a pen, we can change Kentucky forever, and we can implement the types of reforms that Governor Perry talked about, that Texas has done, the same types of reforms that Governor Daniels and Governor Pence in Indiana have done, the same types of reforms that Governor Haslam has done in Tennessee. We can do that, but we have to have a Republican House of Representatives. I'm going to do everything I can in 2014 to make the focus of the election on flipping the Kentucky House of Representatives. I served 11 years of my life working with the great team that we have in the state representative from the Republican caucus, and I believe with all my heart if we get 6 more, Kentucky will give Texas a run for its money in job creation. Thank you all for everything you do for the Republican Party, and may God bless the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Thank you.